Inverted question mark. Do you believe someone can die, be 17 minutes without vital signs, and return with a direct message from Jesus about what will happen in 2026? This isn't a made-up story, it's the true testimony of a 13-year-old boy. My name is Emiliano Jose Ortega Mendoza. I'm 13 years old and I live in Guadalajara, Jalisco, right in the Chapalita neighborhood, just 7 blocks from the park where I used to play soccer every Sunday with my cousins. On August 25, 2025, a day that started like any other, my life ended in the most unexpected way anyone could imagine. It wasn't a car accident, it wasn't an illness, it was something so simple, so common, that when people hear my story, they fall silent because they realize that death can come at any moment, even in the most ordinary moments. That day I had arranged to meet my friends to do math homework at my friend Daniel's house, which was 2 neighborhoods away. My mom, Maria del Carmen Ortega de la Rosa, had warned me to be back before dark because we had to go to 7 o'clock Mass at Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish, where my family has gone since I was a baby. My dad, Roberto Ortega Sanchez, a civil engineer, was working that afternoon on a construction project in Zapopan, so it was just my mom, my younger sister Sophia, who was 9, and me at home. I remember perfectly putting on my favorite shirt, the Chivas Guadalajara one, my black sneakers that I had just gotten 2 weeks before, and leaving with my blue backpack carrying only a notebook and a calculator. The sky was completely clear, that intense blue you only see in Jalisco during the summer. It was hot, about 34 degrees Celsius, according to the news report that morning, but it wasn't unbearable. There was a light breeze that moved the leaves of the bougainvillea trees that adorn the streets of my neighborhood. I walked the blocks to Daniel's house without thinking about anything in particular. We were going to review quadratic equations, something I struggled with, but that Daniel mastered like a magician. We spent about 2 hours solving problems, laughing at the memes we sent each other in the school group chat, and eating the quesadillas that Daniel's mom made with that melted Oaxaca cheese that smells heavenly. When I looked at the living room clock, it was already 5:30 in the afternoon. I told Daniel that I had to go because my mom was going to scold me if I was late again. We said goodbye with the handshake we had invented in 6th grade and I left his house with my backpack slung over one shoulder. The way back was the same one I had taken 1,000 times. I went down Lerdo de Tejeda Street, turned at the corner where the Oxxo is, crossed the small park with the rusty swings, and then it was only 3 more blocks to my house. Everything was normal. I greeted the man who sells corn from the red cart. I gave a coin to the woman who is always outside the church asking for help for her grandchildren. I felt the heat of the pavement rising through the soles of my sneakers. So, as I was crossing the park, I heard a buzzing sound. At first, I didn't pay it any mind. I thought it was a mosquito or a fly, something normal. But the buzzing grew louder, more intense, closer. I stopped and looked up. What I saw chilled me to the bone. It was a swarm. Not 5 or 10 bees, but hundreds of thousands. They looked like a black and gold cloud moving as if it had a mind of its own, spiraling above the park's trees. Someone must have accidentally bumped into a hive. Or maybe the heat had made them aggressive. I'll never know. What I do know is that in a matter of seconds, that cloud turned toward me. The buzzing became a roar. I felt the first sting on my neck, then another on my arm, another on my forehead. I started to run. My legs moved purely on instinct. I dropped my backpack. I waved my arms, trying to shoo them away, but it was useless. The bees pursued me as if I were their only purpose in the world. They covered me. Literally covered me. I felt their tiny bodies hitting my face, getting into my shirt, tangling in my hair. The stings were like hot knives stabbing again and again into my arms, my back, my legs, my face. I screamed for help, but my voice was choked by panic. I caught sight of a woman with her children on the swings. She saw me and screamed too, grabbing her children and running toward the street. I kept running, but my legs started to give out. I felt like my lungs weren't filling with air. It was like trying to breathe through a crushed straw. My throat closed, my tongue swelled, my eyes swelled so much I could no longer see clearly. Everything went blurry. My legs gave way. I fell to my knees in the park grass, right under a mesquite tree. The bees kept attacking me. I no longer felt the individual stings, only fire. My whole body was burning. I tried to scream again, but no sound came out. My chest rose and fell, but no oxygen was getting in. The world began to spin. The blue of the sky blended with the green of the grass. I heard distant voices, people shouting, someone saying, "Call an ambulance." But the voices sounded as if they were underwater. I thought of my mum. I thought of how she must be waiting for me at home, looking at the clock, wondering why I hadn't arrived. I thought about my little sister, Sophia, and how she always asked me to play dolls with her, even though I told her that was for girls. I thought about my dad and the last time he told me he was proud of me because I got a 9 on my science exam, and then suddenly the pain stopped. It wasn't gradual, it was instantaneous, like when you flip a switch and the light goes out. 1 second I was burning in agony, and the next, nothing. Silence, peace. I opened my eyes, but I wasn't in the park anymore. Well, I was in the park, but I wasn't there either. It's hard to explain. I could see my body lying on the grass. My Chivas jersey was covered in dead bees and stings. My face was swollen and unrecognizable. There was dried blood under my nose. My eyes were closed. I looked so small, so fragile, like a broken doll. I saw people gathering around me. The woman on the swing set was crying, covering her mouth with her hands. A man in a plaid shirt was talking on the phone, gesturing desperately. 2 boys, who looked about 17 years old, ran up and one of them took her off his shirt to try to shoo away the bees that were still flying nearby. I heard the sirens. I saw the ambulance arrive, white with green and red stripes, skidding as it braked at the park entrance. The paramedics jumped out with their bags. A woman with her hair pulled back in a ponytail knelt beside me. She put 2 fingers on my neck, searching for a pulse. Then she looked at her partner, an older man with a mustache, and shook her head. "No pulse," she said. "Get the defibrillator ready." I was standing just 3 meters away, watching all of this as if it were a movie. I wanted to shout at them. I wanted to tell them, "Here I am, I'm not dead, I'm right here." But when I opened my mouth, no sound came out. It was as if I were in a different dimension where I could see them, but they couldn't see me. The man with the mustache took the defibrillator paddles out, tore my shirt, and put gel on my bare chest. Everyone stepped aside. "Clear!" he yelled. My body jerked when the electric shock shot through me. Once, twice, 3 times. Each time my body jumped like a fish out of water, but nothing happened. The woman with the ponytail started doing chest compressions, counting out loud, 2, 3. Her hands sank deep. I knew she was breaking my ribs, but at that moment it didn't matter. I kept watching the scene for what felt like an eternity. I saw my mom come running with Sophia holding her hand. Someone in the neighborhood must have alerted her. My mom let out a scream I'll never forget. It was a scream that came from the depths of her soul. A scream only a mother can give when she sees her child dying. She threw herself toward me, but the paramedics stopped her. "Mom, let us work," they told her. But she struggled, crying and screaming my name. "Emiliano, wake up. Emiliano, please, my son, don't leave me." Sophia was paralyzed, her eyes wide open, tears rolling down her cheeks. I wanted to hug her, I wanted to tell her, "Don't cry, little sister, everything is going to be all right." But I couldn't, I could only watch. And then the park began to fade away. It wasn't like closing my eyes, it was as if someone had placed a filter over reality and was slowly making it more and more transparent until everything disappeared. My mother's screams faded away, the sirens fell silent, and I found myself somewhere else. It was a space I can't describe with human words because it didn't resemble anything that exists on Earth. The ground was solid, but it wasn't concrete or grass. It was like dark glass, but warm to the touch, as if it had a life of its own. There were no walls, no roof, just an infinite horizon that shone with a soft, golden light. And standing before me, waiting for me, was a man. I knew who he was before he said a single word. Don't ask me how I knew. I just knew. It was Jesus, but he looked nothing like the images I'd seen in church. Those European paintings where they show him with pale skin, blonde hair, and blue eyes. This Jesus was real, solid, powerful. His skin was the color of polished bronze, as if he'd spent years working in the sun. His hair was dark and wavy, falling to his shoulders. His eyes, wow, his eyes were the most intense I've ever seen. They weren't just brown or black. They were like deep wells filled with light, as if they contained entire galaxies. When he looked at me, I felt he saw not just my body, not just my mind, but my entire soul. Every thought I'd had, every lie I'd told, every time I'd been cruel to my sister, every time I cheated on a test, every time I disobeyed my parents. And instead of feeling judged, I felt known, completely known. He wore a tunic that didn't look like it was made of ordinary fabric. It was thick and heavy, the color of earth after the rain, and it moved even though there was no wind. His hands were large and calloused, a carpenter's hands, hands that had worked with wood and nails, and his feet. I could see the marks on his feet, scars that shone with a dim but constant light. Emiliano spoke. His voice didn't come out of his mouth. It came from everywhere, vibrated in my chest, in my bones, in the air itself. It was a voice that sounded like distant thunder, but also like a mother's lullaby. I burst into tears, I don't know why. Maybe because I finally felt safe. Maybe because I realized how scared I had been. Maybe because in front of someone so pure, so holy, I felt so small, so dirty. I'm sorry, I managed to say, sorry for all the bad things I did. Sorry for all the times I ignored you in church. Sorry for not being a better son, a better brother, a better person. He came closer, he didn't float, he walked. I heard the sound of his footsteps on the dark glass floor. He knelt in front of me, kneeling down to my level, and placed his hands on my shoulders. The warmth emanating from his hands was incredible. It wasn't a burning heat, it was a healing heat, a comforting heat, a filling heat. I know, he said, not, I forgive you. He only said, I know. And somehow, those two words were enough. All the shame I felt, all the guilt evaporated. It vanished like dew in the morning sun. He knew the worst of me, and yet he was there, touching me, holding me. But your time on earth isn't over, Emiliano said. I have something to show you, something you must take back. I nodded, though I didn't fully understand. He stood up and helped me to my feet. My body, or whatever I was in that place, felt light, without pain, without tiredness. He took my hand, and suddenly we were no longer in that golden space. We were standing on a kind of raised platform, as if we were on top of a mountain. But it wasn't a real mountain. Below us, the world stretched out. There could have been continents, oceans, cities, but everything looked different, darker, grayer. There was a fog covering large portions of the planet. The year 2026, Jesus said, his voice now serious, solemn. It's going to be a year of shaking, a year where what has been hidden will be revealed, a year where those who sleep will be awakened. I looked at the world more closely and began to see things. They weren't just images, they were complete visions, like movies playing in my mind. He held up 4 fingers, 4 events, he said, 4 signs. You must remember them, you must count them. Then the first vision began. I saw the sun. Our sun, the same one that shines on Guadalajara every day, but something was wrong. It flickered, it dimmed, It was like watching a light bulb about to burn out, and then I saw the earth plunged into a massive blackout. It wasn't a normal blackout, it was something magnetic, something that came from the sun itself. I saw entire cities without power. People in the streets staring at their cell phones that weren't working. Black screens, down internet, silent satellites. People were panicking. At first, I saw a man in what appeared to be New York banging on his laptop in frustration. I saw a woman in Mexico City crying because she couldn't call her family. I saw teenagers in what appeared to be Europe walking around like zombies, lost without their social media. But then something changed. The vision showed me families sitting together in their living rooms, lit only by candles. I saw parents talking to their children, really talking, looking into each other's eyes. I saw neighbors coming out of their houses and meeting each other for the first time in years. I saw people looking up at the starry sky they had forgotten existed. In the first months of 2026, Jesus said, "There will be silence. For 3 days the noise of the world will stop. It will not be the end. It will be a pause, an opportunity for humanity to remember what it is to be present." Many will see it as a disaster, but tell them, Emiliano, that it is a gift. It is my hand pressing the mute button on the chaos. The first vision faded, and the second came. This one was darker, more disturbing. I saw a huge building. It appeared to be a government building with white columns and flags waving. Suddenly, the walls of the building became transparent glass, completely transparent. And inside I saw horrible things. I saw documents being hastily burned. I saw men in expensive suits running, trying to hide boxes full of papers. I saw gold, lots of gold hidden beneath the floors, and I saw children's faces, photographs, files. Things that they should have been kept safe, but they had been used for evil purposes. My stomach churned. I felt nauseous. What is in darkness will be brought to light, Jesus said. His voice was firm, almost angry. In mid-2026, a very big, very old secret, which the powerful have kept for decades, will be exposed. It has to do with the vulnerable, it has to do with children. The truth will come out and shake nations. I saw news reports, anchors with pale faces reading the news with trembling hands. I saw massive protests in the streets. I saw people weeping with rage and pain. I saw governments teetering. People will be furious, I said. I felt the fury of the world rising like steam. They will be, Jesus replied. And they have a right to be. But tell them this, Emiliano. Justice is mine, I will pay. Don't let them may their hearts turn to stone. Observe the truth. Demand justice, but do not become hatred, for hatred is a worse prison than any secret. The second vision ended and the third arrived. This one was stranger. I saw multitudes of young people, teenagers, and children. They were in public places, shopping malls, parks, and schools, and they were praying. It wasn't timid prayer, it was bold, powerful prayer. I saw a girl of about 16 standing in the middle of a shopping mall in what appeared to be Los Angeles, with her arms raised, singing praises to God while people shopped around her. At first, they ignored her, then some stopped, then more, and suddenly there were hundreds of people around her, weeping, kneeling, surrendering their lives. I saw the same thing happening in Madrid, Buenos Aires, Manila, Lagos, and Sydney. Children and young people leading spontaneous revivals. I saw older pastors staring in amazement, almost unable to believe what they were seeing. A great awakening is coming, Jesus said. It won't come from polished pulpits, it will come from the pure hearts of young people. The children the world has ignored will rise up and call my name, shameless one. In the streets, in the schools, in the places where they least expect it. Tell them not to stop it. Tell them not to extinguish it, because when the children begin to pray in the malls, then they will know that the revival has begun. The third vision faded and finally came the fourth. And this one was the most beautiful and the most terrifying at the same time. I saw the night sky, but in the sky appeared something that had never been there before. A star, but it wasn't a normal star, it was red, bright, pulsating. It moved slowly across the sky, visible from every corner of the earth. I saw astronomers in observatories pointing their telescopes at it, unable to explain where it came from. I saw scientists on news programs stuttering, trying to give rational explanations, but none made sense. I saw ordinary people like my mom, like my dad, leaving their houses at night and looking up in fear and awe. And I heard a voice, not the voice of Jesus, but a voice that came from heaven itself, a voice that rumbled like the ocean saying, "Prepare yourselves, for the time is near." At the end of 2026, Jesus said, there will be a sign in the heavens, something that hasn't been seen since he guided the wise men from the east to the manger. It will be a sign for those who have eyes to see. Many will fear it, many will explain it away as a coincidence, but those who know me will understand what it means. It means my return is near, closer than anyone imagines. I'm not giving you dates, Emiliano. I'm not telling you I'll come in 2026, but I am telling you that this sign is the bell that rings before the door opens. The fourth vision ended, and suddenly I was back on the golden platform with Jesus. I felt overwhelmed. My 13-year-old mind couldn't process everything I had just seen. It's too much, I said. I'm just a child. No one will believe me. People will think I'm crazy or that I made it up. Jesus placed his hand on my head. His touch was so full of love that I wanted to stay there forever. Those who have ears to hear will hear, he said. It's not your job to convince everyone. Your job is to tell the truth. Some will scoff, others will doubt. But there will be those who recognize that these words come from me, and those are the ones who need to hear. He knelt again, looking directly into my eyes. Emiliano, it's time for you to go back. I felt panicked. No, I begged. I don't want to go back. It hurts there. It's hard there. Here I am with you. There is no fear here. Please, let me stay. I know, son, he said tenderly. I know you're tired. I know it's tough there, but your family needs you, the world needs you. You have to tell them what you saw, you have to warn them, and you have to live in such a way that when they see you, they see a piece of me. Tears streamed down my face. But I'm afraid. Don't be afraid, he said. I will be with you. When you feel alone, remember this moment. When you doubt, remember my words. And when 2026 comes and you see these things happen, then you will know without a doubt that this experience was real. He placed his hand on my chest, right over my heart. I felt an intense heat, as if my chest were being filled with liquid fire, but it wasn't a fire that destroys, it was a fire that gives life. Live with love, he said, live with courage, and never, never forget that you are mine. And then everything turned white. It was like being thrown through a tunnel at the speed of light. I heard a deafening buzzing, like 1,000 bees were inside my head. I felt my body being pulled down, down, down. And suddenly, pain everywhere. Pain in my chest, pain in my throat, pain in my swollen skin. My eyes snapped open as a sudden burst of bright lights blinded me. Beeping, constant, rhythmic beeping. Machines, voices screaming. He's back. Oh my God, he's back. Doctor, he has a pulse. I tried to scream, but there was a tube in my throat choking me. I tried to move, but I was strapped to a bed. Hands were holding me down. Emiliano, calm down. You're in the hospital. You're safe. I blinked, trying to focus. I saw fluorescent lights on the ceiling. I saw a nurse in a blue face mask leaning over me. I saw machines with wires connected to my body, and then I saw my mum. She was beside the bed, her face streaked with tears, her eyes red and swollen, her hair disheveled. When our eyes met, she let out a stifled scream. Emiliano, my boy, my precious boy, lunged at me, but a nurse gently stopped him. Mom, give him some space. We need to check his vital signs. I heard a doctor talking quietly to another. He was in cardiac arrest for 17 minutes. He shouldn't be here. It's a miracle. 17 minutes. He had been dead for 17 minutes, but for me it had been a lifetime. They removed the tube from my throat after a few hours. It hurt horribly. I coughed and cried. My throat was raw, but finally I could speak. "Mom," I whispered hoarsely. "I saw Jesus." She stopped crying for a moment and looked at me with confusion and hope. "What did you say, my love?" "I saw Jesus," I repeated, "and he showed me things that are going to happen." My mom didn't say anything, she just hugged me, crying on my shoulder. I don't know if she believed me at that moment, but it didn't matter. I knew what I had seen. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital. I had to take medication for the inflammation. My body was covered in red spots where the bees had stung me. The doctors said I had received more than 200 stings. They said I was allergic and that it caused a severe anaphylactic shock. They said it was a miracle that my brain wasn't damaged after being without oxygen for so long. But I knew the truth. It wasn't a medical miracle. It was Jesus. He sent me back. When I finally got back home, everything I felt different. My room looked the same with my soccer posters and my hockey trophies, but I was different. I couldn't see things the same way. Every time my sister Sophia bothered me, instead of getting angry, I hugged her. Every time my mom asked me for help with something, I did it without complaining. Every time I went to church, it wasn't just to keep my grandmother company, it was because I wanted to be the dot, because after seeing Jesus face to face, everything else seemed so small, so temporary. My friends noticed the change. Daniel asked me what happened. I told him. At first, he laughed, thinking I was joking, but when he saw I was serious, he stayed quiet. I don't know if he believes me, but since that day, he sometimes asks me things. He asks me if there really is a heaven. He asks me if God is real. And I answer him with complete certainty that yes, God is more real than anyone, something that we can touch with our hands. Now I'm sharing my story because Jesus asked me to. I know many will doubt. I know many will say it was just a dream brought on by lack of oxygen, that my brain was creating images as I was dying. And that's okay, I don't need you to believe me for my own good, but I'm telling you this because he told me to. The year 2026 is near, very near. And when you see the massive blackout, when the phones stop working and the internet goes down, don't panic. Take advantage of those 3 days of silence. Talk to your families, look into the eyes of the people you love, reconnect with what really matters. When you see the secrets come to light, when you see the powerful fall, don't let hatred fill your hearts. Demand justice, yes, but don't become what you hate. Pray for the truth. Pray for healing. And when you see children and young people rising up in prayer in public places, don't silence them, don't ignore them, join them, because that will be the revival the world has been waiting for. And when you see the sign in the sky, that red star that shouldn't be there, don't look down in fear, look up in hope, because that will be the sign that time is running out. I'm not saying Jesus is going to return in 2026. He didn't give me an exact date, but he told me it's near, closer than most people think. My name is Emiliano Jose Ortega Mendoza. I am 13 years old. I live in Guadalajara, Jalisco. On August 25, 2025, I died after being attacked by a swarm of bees in a park just 7 blocks from my house. I was dead for 17 minutes, and in those 17 minutes, I met the King of Kings. I saw his face, heard his voice, and he sent me back with a message for you. He is real. He is alive, and he is coming back. Don't fall asleep. Don't ignore the signs, and when the time comes, make sure you are ready. What a powerful and transformative story. Emiliano didn't just return from the dead, he returned with a mission. And just as he said, perhaps many won't believe him. But when you see the blackout in 2026, when you see the secrets come to light, When you see children praying with fire in public places, and when you see that red star in the sky, you will remember this moment. The Bible says in Joel, chapter 2, verse 28, "And afterward, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Their old men will have dreams, and their young men will see visions." Thank you, Emiliano, for sharing your story with such courage. And to you who have made it this far, may peace and the blessings of heaven be with you. See you next time.